Welcome back to another episode of Build and Scale with Devika. I'm your host, Ken. Today we're excited to have a special guest joining us, Jordan McCreary. Jordan is a physiotherapist, fitness entrepreneur, and the founder and CEO of Condition, a health and fitness brand focused on strength and conditioning underpinned by the evidence-based training. With over a decade of experience scaling fitness brands across more than 50 locations in 4 countries, Jordan brings a wealth of knowledge to the table. In this episode, we'll dive into Jordan's journey into the fitness industry, the inception and growth of Condition, and his insights on integrating technology to enhance his gym operations and client experiences. Whether you're a fitness enthusiast, entrepreneur, or someone interested in the intersection of health, business, and technology, this conversation promises valuable takeaways. So, thanks for coming, Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I wanted to begin with why fitness?
I've always loved sport. Grew up playing a lot of sport. I'm an AFL kid, so from Tassie, represent. We're going through a couple of paths at that kind of finishing school age. A lot of people don't know this about me, and you definitely don't, but I'm a classically trained singer. Okay. So I was a singer for a big band and did a lot of classical things, performance and a lot of musicals, but I was also really into sport and footy and the training side towards that. Obviously a little bit too short, a little bit too slow and not quite good enough to quite play professional sport. So I managed to get into a physiotherapy degree at Sydney University, which was sort of heading down that sport path, and got a sports scholarship to Sydney Uni to play AFL. Okay. So how good if you can't get not good enough for pro, maybe that's second best. And that kind of led to my whole life being about injuries, sport, wellness, health, got really into the science behind training when we were trying to perform ourselves and sparked my interest from there. And I think nowadays it's just such a big part of my life. Couldn't live without it, right? Health, wellness, it's like my form of therapy. Keeps me going.
So in your previous life, you had 60 gyms. So I want to go into that. Yeah. What was it like running 60 gyms?
Yeah, full on. Didn't sleep much. We were in 4 countries at that stage too. So yeah, we managed to, in my last venture, scale to 60 sites across 4 countries.
So which countries are they?
Australia, UK, Canada, and the US.
Okay.
So lots of different time zones. That's the part I don't miss, having to navigate that part. But yeah, really enjoyed finding a lot about individual communities across the world was probably my favorite part, and getting to know the people, the staff, the customers. And, I think we had over 300 staff across the world at one stage, and trying to know those people, like who they were, what motivated them, and then the members that are in the gyms too was probably my favorite part. But yeah, learned so much scaling a physical business, and that's why I'm really excited for where we're at with Condition and what we've learned over that period, what to do, what not to do, what are the things that actually make a studio tick, make people tick. That was probably the most interesting part. It's a small world out there though. I had an inquiry for a Condition from somewhere in the UK 2 days ago, and then my Uber driver on the way into here was from that town, and it was just really funny. So
I guess everyone talks about their wins, but what was some of the brutal learnings in that journey?
Yeah, I think we made every mistake you could ever make, and that's where you definitely learn the most. And I think once you make that mistake, it's about understanding what you could have controlled in the situation and what you couldn't, because sometimes there are things that are outside of your control that affect business, that affect you. But I think looking back retrospectively and sort of being happy with the way you approached it then, and then learning from how you would do it differently. Lots of challenges from, the way you're managing fit outs to the way you're hiring and engaging staff and listening to them and understanding their wants and needs, because they make every business tick. And then, I think the speed at which you do things, why you make a decision, being really confident with why and the research you're doing before you make decisions, they were probably the biggest learnings.
So I guess going into this new journey with Condition, tell us a bit about it. So you've got a few business partners.
Yeah, so Daniel Capilli, Dan, good long-term friend of mine and my business partner and founder of Condition with me. Actually probably goes back about 12 years ago when Dan and I met. We used to train together when I was still studying, and we were working through this progressive overload strength training block that Dan sort of said, oh, let's do this. It looks fun. And it was actually really hard, where we looked at German volume training and the progression of a squat, bench, and a deadlift over a week cycle, where you would increase your weights, decrease your reps, recover, test at the start and test at the end. So Dan and I set out to develop our own health and wellness studio concept a couple of years ago, and spent a lot of time researching where the market's at, what's trending at the moment, where we should head. And we kind of landed that strength training is the most proven way that people can build lean muscle mass, get strong, learn, and like increase their longevity or lifespan. And it sort of, at that stage, we really looked at the reasons why people come to the gym and what motivates them, and thought, maybe there's a way that we could make what we design really purpose driven. So if you're coming in, we're maximizing the time that you're in the studio and the program that you're doing, and that it's sort of should be personalized to you with choice for the things that you enjoy. So yeah, the hero of our concept is progressive overload strength training. So what Dan and I were doing 12 years ago, and what's been around for such a long time. But I guess it's about taking principles that are evidence-based from my physio background with what's practical for us to implement at the moment, which we're obviously trying to build some tech to help us implement it even better. And then what customers' expectations are and what they're really enjoying. So that's like the fine balance in our business, trying to like manage all those circles and find the perfect intersection and push the boundaries a little bit.
So I guess, we just spoke off air. So Condition's been around for about 15 months?
Yeah, we launched our first site in January 2024 and opened our 13th site 2 weeks ago in Camperdown.
So how's that been, going from being, I guess, part of a franchise and now creating your own one? And
that journey's been really interesting. I think I love learning and challenging myself. So being in full control of what I'm creating, I'm really enjoying. I do really love operating businesses and the dealing with the day-to-day and the pain points that come up with that. So being in full control of the decisions you make. I love the brand side more than I ever could have thought, though. Creating the brand, we joke that Conditions misspelt Conditten with a little full stop, but I harp on a lot about that and the way you can create a feeling that's happening, say, in the studio when a class is going on, with the way you push your brand across online. And it's really interesting to, I had coffee with someone this morning and sort of asked them what, why they were talking to us about Condition. They're like, oh, it just looks so cool and engaging. I said, have you ever been into the studio? And they're like, nah. So they're looking at it online, feeling that, which is like what I'm really enjoying. Obviously a new challenge, but yeah, really, really loving it.
What are some of the things that you're looking to do differently this time around?
Running a race again, and in a different stage of the world too. The economy is very different now than it once was. What customers expect has really, really increased, and there's a lot of competition in the market, especially in the health and wellness and fitness market. So I think we're really trying to take those evidence-based principles, implement them in an environment that people really enjoy, but then evolve really quickly. So we're really working hard on some tech in the background that's going to help us evolve, because we don't want to be the same as we are now in a year's time, or 2 years' time, or 5 years' time, because we want to take the principles that we've got in the framework, but make sure we evolve, right? The menu items need to change. We need to keep customers engaged. It needs to be fun, exciting. That's probably my biggest learning, that if you stay the same, you won't be around.
I guess that's a really good segue for the next part that I wanted to talk about, which was, why have you chosen tech as your next move?
So, I thought you were going to ask me about the session we did together a few weeks ago.
That's next week.
Tech, yeah. I think...
So just on that, it's like you've got the cost of opening up a gym.
Yeah.
So when you look at like a franchise, you have the cost of opening a new site. And then it's like, how do you have that opportunity cost of opening a new site or looking to implement tech to really enable the business?
Yeah, I think one of the big learnings we had is that we need to be reinvesting in our existing customers. So new and more is not always better. And tech's definitely one way that we can build a framework so that, one, we can communicate really well with our customers, and then two, build a model that can evolve over time. So if you have the frameworks right, whether that's from how the studio is set up, how the workout's implemented, but how the tech supports that, that'll then give us the ability to evolve, I think. So really working on building on the foundations of that. We needed to prove the concept that we have first. So why did we not go back and 15 months ago build out the tech early, which is something we were chatting on the other day, and the pros and cons of doing that versus doing it the way we've got now. Like, I think I'm really excited now because we have a captive audience of people with seeing some of the things we're trying to solve with the tech that we might have brainstormed 2 years ago actually be problems that people are asking to be fixed in the gym or things that people want. And the last thing I wanted to do when we set out to say build some tech is to build something that no one wants and just I want. So I think really like testing, which we're sort of at that stage now, and being able to do that with real people and talk to them about, recording their results in the gym and tracking leaderboards and all the features that we're looking to build and figuring out which way you'd go. But yeah, really good timing for us with where we're at to be able to sort of improve the experience for a customer.
I think we're really big on proving something works for as long as you can, as manually as you can. Not making too many assumptions, understanding the problem statement, and then looking at how you can implement tech. So I think to what you just said, being able to do that first and then implement a solution that makes a lot of sense and not make too many assumptions, build something little and get to market and prove that you've solved that problem really well and then expand on it is really key when we look at building products all the time.
The old lean startup approach, unless you're Apple and you can just build something that everyone wants without them knowing.
Exactly. So when you look at scaling out a business, there's 4 ways to do that. So there's always the new site, franchising, implementing tech as automation to improve your business, and then productizing it. What I really like about the way that you've gone about things is that you've almost followed each one step at a time. So really going from like understanding what is more sites, what does that look like, understanding franchises, and now looking to implement tech before looking to potentially look at a productization strategy. So what's your feedback on that journey? How's that been?
Yeah, well, I think my biggest gripe with the industry that I'm in is that you build out a concept and then can sell the concept without proving it yourself and actually understanding what the day-to-day issues are of operating that site and then going to scale anyway. And I think that's what we were really focused on in that first step is building a model, testing it, evolving it. And it's evolved so much in that 15-month period. I remember the launch of the first class, obviously, Dan and I built the whole gym ourselves in 3 days, cut all the rubber, walked upstairs, hadn't practiced the introductions or anything. And we took over and ran the first class, and the trainers looked at us like, what are you guys doing? Let us do our job and get out of the gym. Making those mistakes along this journey and learning or doing those things along this journey and doing it in a staged way instead of going, hey, I built this thing on a bit of a paper, I'm going to scale it, come buy it. And you're really doing that across different markets with different people. Then that sort of next step you're talking about where we willing to bring on partners to help us scale our condition concept across Australia and across Sydney. And that's been a really exciting journey, one, because you can actually get a lot of value from the people that you bring in and they get involved. They come with new ideas, passion, motivation. They can also be there day to day when that's impossible when you're scaling a physical business. So I think just being really mindful in the people that you partner with and the way that you're doing that. So our approach has been looking at each individual community or person or people or structure and really designing the most effective structure that will create success in that community. And then, like we just spoke about, adding tech now, we've got existing members that really enjoy what we're doing. They're referring, the gyms are growing. If we can add value back to them now and give us a framework to then evolve moving forward, it seems like a really good stage, one, to do that, but then to have that system ready for people as we scale further physically too.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to your comment around if we implement automation and the process is bad, we just do a bad process quicker. So it's always good to get really good at the process and understanding the problem and then look to automate it. And it's good that it's a very ground up approach. So really getting to understand a grassroots movement of like what people want and then implementing that and then looking to scale that once you're happy with what you see.
Exactly. Yeah. Same as the way we'll probably look to actually implement the technology into the studios.
Yes.
Like you want to get uptake, you want to make sure people want it, test it, use it, make sure it works, and then scale it across our network, not just chuck it out there and the features aren't used. And that's what's happened in other concepts that I've seen. making sure that, there's not really anyone that's been able to effectively blend the digital fitness space and the physical fitness space. And that's what we're really trying to do, build something that, one will support our in-studio members, but then add value to their lifestyle. Because there's all this technology, all this AI out there. And there is some people pushing a movement that going to the gym to disconnect, get away from everything. But, my kind of position on that is, if you're going to go and spend 4 days a week for an hour or 50 minutes in the gym, you need to be doing the thing that's most effective for you. And it needs to be, eventually personalized to you with choices that you enjoy, with the things that are actually going to get you the best outcome, right? So that's why you need the tech to support it.
Definitely. When you look at your valuation and your exit moving forward, how have you viewed tech? I feel like in your line of business, sometimes that can be a big oversight for a lot of different companies, is how tech can actually play a role in the valuation when you look at an exit, for example.
Yeah, well, I think at the moment, our main focus is to build the tech for our existing communities and to add value to what we're doing. But there's also an opportunity outside of that, depending on the uptake that we can get, which could lead to an exponential valuation for us, and one exponential brand reach too, which then, if you're worrying about valuations and raising money and all those things, obviously it helps, but also from creating a community and a brand. How cool, right? So,
Well, that takes us to like the third part, which is building with tech from the vision to version 1.
Yeah.
So when we look at building an app, there's really 3 stages. So you have the plan and design, we have the development and testing, and then the go live and the scale. So we're in that first section of the planning and design phase, and we're coming to the end of that with condition. What has that journey been like for you? Like, was there anything that you went in with preconceived notion, or like, what's it been like?
Yeah, it's been awesome working with you guys. A lot more hands-on than I would have thought it would have been. I thought you would just ask me what features I want and just go and build them, but getting actual feedback on your ideas, whether they're right or wrong, has been really good. I'm proud to say that all the ideas I had were right, obviously. not quite. Don't just ask the guys at Devika that. Yeah, it's looking really good. I think it's hard. It's been harder than I thought to get what I had in my head to how it should be looking on paper, and things can become really complex really quickly. So it's been really good to sort of take all those ideas and get it to be really complex, but then sort of stripping it back to the raw thing that you actually want. And that's kind of the stage that we're at now, and really, really happy with how things are looking. But just, working with someone you can, I guess, trust the result. They'll trust the questions you ask. You're getting like qualified answers, and you guys coming to us with ideas to say, oh, we, have done this before, and the way we've designed it, it's like, I was just the feature we were looking at earlier this week was that the way you look at the workout when you're working through it, at that stage, you can only see exactly what you're doing, not what's upcoming. And one of your guys said, oh, I get this anxiety when I can't see what's coming ahead because I kind of want to know. And I was thinking, it's exactly what I was thinking, but I didn't really know how to portray it. And you'd build our new screen showing the next steps already. So it was really cool.
Yeah, cool. It's definitely a process of like, it's almost like a sculpture. It's like, what can we remove, not what can we add?
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that, getting really good at what is the problem that we're solving, and then trying not to add, but to remove, to really focus on nailing and delivering on what it is that we're solving.
Pretty excited for the build phase.
So we, So the phase 1 of the app, what is the focus?
We really want to build something that solves problems that we're seeing, or things we're seeing customers want. So I think when you look at the features that we've decided to push forward within the app, people have really been wanting a way to record their results. One thing when we build condition and the concept that we're at this sort of stage soon to implement is we really want like a metric of performance that we can track over time for our customers. One, having one place that can be recorded, but 2, really heroing that. And it's called the condition score, which is really exciting. That should give someone a really good indication of where they're at performance-wise with their strength training and their sort of cardiovascular VO2 max based conditioning. So we have a custom test, which I'll have to put you through. To
is there give you 11 out of 10?
Oh, of course, obviously. I'm sure you can rig the back end of the app, right, with the results. The ability for people to track that to appear from them easily, see the progression over time. But then I think using that data to make the experience in each individual session better for that customer. So, the most effective way to train is to cycle over that 8-week period to get stronger, or depending on what your goal might be, and understanding that is one first priority. But then 2, prescribing weights for people, so you're not sort of guessing, being able to track your performance against those weights. And then I think, your attendance and your fatigue and all those features we're hoping to build out over time to, a customer's record and profile for them to track, but also for our coaches in the studio to then be able to like improve the experience or that they're delivering for our members by understanding more and more about them. So, I think we spoke early on, it's really great to say, we're going to capture all this data about people and they'll be able to give us all this stuff. One, why will they want to give it to you? So there needs to be a reason why. But 2, like, what are you actually going to do with it? So that's like the biggest use case for us is, 1, you as a member can sort of understand where you're at, where you're tracking, what you should be doing, and how you're getting the most effective results depending on what your goals are. But 2, us then being able to design your program, deliver it in a more individualized way in a group setting with those group motivations so that you can have the best experience, achieve the best results you want. Simple example would be, if you're injured and you've got a sore knee, physio days should still have that little physio clinic. You might not at the moment be coming in to train on the lower body focus day, but is there a way for us to, amend the program for you via technology so that you can still come? Or should you be coming? So giving you recommendations or our coaches on that, or what is the perfect training routine for you for what you're trying to achieve at the moment and what's practical, and can we keep you accountable to that is, probably a couple of key examples of what we're trying to build and why.
Is there anything that you remember distinctly during that process that may have been repeated that you didn't think going into it? For example, don't make too many assumptions. I know that's like a big one for me is, when we look at a 3-month build, it's like we really need to focus on what's important and not make too many assumptions.
Yeah. And actually ask the questions you want to ask, I think, and really dive into each individual feature that you want to build and then go, hang on, like what's this actually doing and why? Yeah, definitely that. I think one thing that people, if you tell anyone that you're building tech, especially if you're a non-technical founder, that's what they give you all these warnings. That's probably been a reoccurring theme throughout, no matter what stage we've been at. When we had the idea stage, watch out, he's going to spend all this money, it's not going to work. Or, 2, do you really need it? But yeah, I think what we, like you said before, we waited till our customers really needed it or are kind of asking, or one feature that we're really excited to launch, and a really simple one, is that people will be able to track their results and we'll be prescribing what they should do in a little bit more of a structured way. And we actually had a member at one of our studios in Turramurra bring in library cards for all of the members on testing week and write their names on the top and write it out. So like there's a prime example. But yeah, recurring themes that like, is it needed? Because obviously when you're probably investing time, money and effort into building something, you're like, it's got to be as good as it can be day one. But if you build all those things, I think it's probably going to fail. You've got to start with like one thing and what's the most important reason you're building it, and then what are the additional things you want to launch with to add value.
Yeah, even outside of tech, like you always get feedback from people externally.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's signal and sometimes it's just noise. How do you filter through like what you think is noise and what's actually signal?
One, that most people that give you feedback are trying to help. So you should listen to everything. And I'm a big feedback person and listening to people, having time for people that have sort of done what you've done before. But I think, always sitting back at the end of every week or however your business sort of work cycle works and reassessing with where you're heading and what you're heading, having a really supportive wife and partner at home to bounce your ideas off is really, really helpful too, to make sure that what you're doing is the right thing and you're taking the right approach. But yeah, also having a group of advisors and support that, can help you make those decisions. Solely it sort of rests on you though. But yeah, blocking out the noise, go running, forget about the things you don't want to hear. Head to condition.
When you talk about advisory, we'll go into more around that. What's it been like even working with people locally? Like even for us, it's been a lot of fun coming to the gym, doing a session, seeing how the business actually operates and absorbing what it is that makes Condition so special, and then trying to take your ideas and the brand and bring that to life. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is I find it really hard to trust people. So having like real faces obviously David, who
Yes.
I know quite well, refer me into you guys too, and like us being, able to sit down when there's an issue, go for lunch, train together, all those things. And then obviously what we're trying to build, we're trying to use it in these physical spaces. So being able to come there and feel the workout and the pain, the feeling that we're trying to portray from a brand point of view in the app and all those things. So I have no experience working with overseas developers, but that's one thing, like I just said, the biggest sort of thing that I've really enjoyed working with you guys was being able to take the ideas and actually in your head and like get them to look like you want them to. But that's quite challenging. I imagine that would be a lot more challenging with overseas development too, because you couldn't be in the same room, don't come to the studio and see the members working and who the customers are you're actually trying to build for, all those things.
So we're going on to part 4, which is all about scaling. So we're looking at productizing a fitness brand now. So like Condition's not just a gym. It's, we're looking at how we can build a tech-enabled platform. How does that shift your business idea from being a physical bricks and mortar to thinking more about tech, and what's that journey been like?
And we bought you some merch today, so don't forget the merch business, finally. Like, I'm really excited to implement tech into the studios to improve the experience, like as the number one reason we're doing this, but that ability for us to now reach further is really, really exciting with our brand and with our product. And like, market size is huge when you look at your target demographic across the world in markets where you're not then limited by the radius from the gym, right, that you can attract. And I think being able to impact more people in a really positive way is something that really motivates me too. Like, tech is something that, someone that I know on the other side of the world could use and implement and track and challenge themselves and compete. So that's really, really exciting. And then, will enable us to spread our brand to users that we would never have the capacity to get to. Plus, then obviously we have a physical business. So if we have massive uptake in a little town in Scandinavia, that's where we'll be going, right? So I think probably also a way to test markets is really exciting. So, can we get infiltration in a market with the tech and then follow it with the physical studio, or the other way around? That's really exciting to me.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what's been really exciting for us too. The grassroots movement with Condition is definitely really impressive. We've also been really impressed with your understanding of where you want to head and how you want to get there, and a bit of an exit strategy. And I think for us, for those that don't know, we're investing in Condition as well, and having your look on where tech can actually enable your business, and even looking further beyond that once we've implemented that within your business. Why did you want us on board as well? So we were really keen to get behind Condition, but that's obviously like a partnership and a collaboration.
I think we weren't shopping around for developers at the time. Like you said, we built the journey we've been through, building the physical store and then scaling and testing. Maybe it wasn't 100% purposeful. If you'd come to me 15 months ago and said, I can do this with you now, maybe we would have been sort of working on this a little bit earlier. But sometimes I've learned, especially over my last journey, that like timing's everything. Sometimes things just really make sense. Like, you trust, you meet. I think, like stepping in with you guys is a really easy decision for us. It was more just, not who, but when. And I think we were loosely like, oh, cool, we really want to build this tech. And everyone kept saying, oh, but, look, watch out. You can't build tech. You're a non-technical founder. You have no idea. I think that, we're like your perfect customer, right? Exactly what you try and fill. And then you kind of said to me, oh, like, we can fill that CTO role long-term and help you build out more technology to, fix the operations across your business or whatever it might be, not just the customer side of things too. So that's really exciting for me to have you guys involved. One, from building this for us, but two, to advise us as we build the other operational systems in our business to make sure they're done in the most effective way. Because tech's the one thing this time around, like tech's way further down the track than it was 10 years ago. We need to be taking advantage of it for to be able to scale effectively the physical side of the business too.
Yeah, cool. For the listeners, who else have you got on board as a bit of an advisory board or people that assist you in scaling this time around?
We've got a lot of people involved or advisors that have sort of been part of larger franchises before, that have helped scale businesses. One, started with a pizza store and ended up, running the massive pizza brand that's still on call all the time for advice that we need. We've also got people that have, in our studios every day that work in that kind of space where they advise businesses on the structures they should be in and when and how they should scale, not too fast, not too slow, what you're actually looking to achieve along those milestones, because timing is everything. But yeah, always looking for more great people to get advice from, like we were talking about before. So if intros, or we're lucky enough to meet a lot of great people in our studios. So that's the one big advantage of having a physical business, and especially like that we're in Martin Place right now, 30 or 50 meters up the road from one of my sites, and some of my board members train at my gym every morning at 7 a.m. and are slugging it out. So when you need advice, you just rock up to the class, smash out some rowing with them, and then ask them in the gaps when you've beat them.
That sounds like a great strategy.
Yeah.
I think one thing I've learned, you should never beat your advisor at something.
If you're going to ask for advice. I know how to cheat all the exercises though. That's the smart thing, I think.
So when it comes to actually monetizing, there's 4 different models that you can go with. One is one-off sales, percentage of ticket, recurring revenue, and advertising. So gyms are really big with memberships, and you have merchandise that might be one-off tickets. Is there anything else that you're looking in the horizon for Condition?
Yeah, I think the recurring revenue model is, from a business model point of view, like in my eyes, always the way to go. You get really sticky customers, and you can actually focus on adding value to them. Obviously, we actually do a lot more of our revenue now than we ever have off non-annuities revenue. So people that purchase in the gym one-offs or use some of the aggregators or packs, and those customers have different expectations, but they're like a whole other set of customers that we need to manage, that visit less often, but also might integrate our structure systems a different way into what they're doing. I think from an advertising point of view, if your customer's the number one value you're looking to serve, you really need to be really careful if you're looking to monetize things from an advertising point of view and the brands that you align yourself with. We've been doing a lot of partnerships and collabs at the moment. Whether you're monetizing them or not, they really need to align with the target, with the customer that you have, and have value to them so it makes their life better. It's what we're really, really excited about. Pushing forward with that model is what we really, really want to do. Finding ways to understand what our customers need, recommend them. We do, products, services that we align with, that we can share our knowledge base with them that's actually going to improve their life. Anything that's health and fitness related, really, and wellness related, like people, like knowledge is still a really big gap for customers. So sort of focusing on that.
Yeah, awesome. So it's been 15 months. What does the next maybe 2 or 3 years look like for Condition?
Well, hopefully the big successful launch of this technology, which I was earmarked as a run from Wollongong to my Manly gym, but I heard you might not be wanting to do that anymore.
I'll join for a bit of it.
Yeah, but hopefully that's a little bit sooner than 3 to 5 years. I think we're still really mindful that we need to build a concept that can evolve quickly and on a cyclical basis. So having that as like a really big priority for us at the moment, from what's happening in the studios and the framework that we're building. I could write you the world's best workout for one workout tomorrow, but how do I write that every day? So every time you come in, and how do I do that? We offer 4 days a week. We offer 2 different workouts at once, one strength-based, one more cardio-based. And on Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday at the moment, we're doing more hybrid-based team workouts. Think about how much program that is, right? So I think building an infrastructure that allows us to evolve that over time, the technology is really, really going to help that. Once we've got that, really just focusing on scaling our physical business with the right partners is a really big thing. Not having customers see any brand that looks and feels the same all as one. You don't want to build a business that has sort of layers in it and segregation for no reason. You all want to be really aligned on what actual success means. And then from a technology point of view, like a way to monetize that to, one, attract more customers to our physical sites, but, reach further than we would be able to in our physical sites, which is really, really exciting.
Fantastic. It's been a pleasure. thank you so much for today. And we're really excited about the next phase of condition, being part of your journey, seeing where it heads, and kicking some goals together.
Thanks, Ken. Did you train today, mate? That's a good question.
I sure did. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.